Hello there, you're watching PM Express on the Joy News channel. Advertisement remains one of the most trusted and well-circulated or used form of promoting and marketing goods and services. Here in the country, Ghana, that industry appears to be recording some significant gains, and we'll be indicating that to you very shortly. Here is a framework of how things are actually looking like for that very industry, starting off from 2014, because you need to take a look at the figures. In 2014, the average amount in the industry was ranging somewhere around 113 million US dollars, but the numbers keep surging from 2015, 2016, 2017, 18, and then, of course, the numbers keep going up all the way to 192 million US dollars as of 2019. Now, in the last 3 years, the figures are not going down because it's just, of course, experiencing the hike as you see here. 208 million US dollars in 2020, 2021 recording some 226 million US dollars. And as of the last check that we've done, it's recording some 245 million US dollars. But there's a big challenge that we need to paint to you. Now, this industry is very critical because key messaging and whatever that is marketed to you on television, on radio, newspapers, online, carry critical content that must be regulated. It's the reason for which we need to talk about the discussion that we're bringing to you here on PM Express. And it's got to do with this new bill. That's the Advertising Council Bill 2020. Because, let me just take you back a bit. Take a look at the graph. As of 2021 or 2020, we had crossed the $100 million mark, moving into the range of 200 and over million US dollars, which indicates that this is a significant industry that is, first of all, raking in revenue for the state and calls for some level of regulation. It's the reason for which government believes we need to bring in a council to regulate and to provide that framework that will guide key messaging and whatever that you see on your screens or on radio here on radio and also see online as part of advertisement. It's the reason for which the Advertising Council Bill 2020 was brought to you, and the reason for which government was introducing that, and of course the industry was pushing hard for that, is because first of all there's a need for.
Una de las especies más peculiares del mundo latino es el Padreus protectorus, que vive colgado encima de sus hijos como un koala.
Vamos contigo por si le pasa algo a tu auto.
Mamá, voy a estar bien.
Pero este instinto sobreprotector se está extinguiendo, porque State Farm está ahí las 24 horas si los necesitas. Así que los padres finalmente están soltando a sus hijos a la naturaleza.
¡Nos mandas fotos!
Como un buen vecino, State Farm está ahí. Llama para obtener una cotización hoy.
Tras un día de lucharla, te mereces una recompensa. Una Modelo, la marca de los luchadores. Así que sírvete esta dorada y refrescante lager, porque tú sabes que cuanto más grande sea la lucha, mejor sabrá la recompensa. Pusiste las horas, el esfuerzo, el trabajo duro. Tú eres un luchador y esta cerveza es para ti. Modelo, la marca de los luchadores. Todo con medida, importada por Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Is the Peloton bike even worth it? Isn't it just a bike?
Just a bike with low-impact rides for chill people to chill with 5 and 10-minute cooldowns for cool people to be cool with, and scenic rides for vibey people to vibe with. It's just a bike with a 30-day home trial so you can see if you're any one of those people. Try a Peloton Bike or Bike Plus at home for 30 days, and if it's not for you, return it for a full refund. First-time Bike and Bike Plus purchasers only. One trial per household. Upfront payment required. Full terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.
Celebrate summer's greatest hits at JCPenney's Labor Day sale. Bring home feel-good deals like up to 50% off bedding, bath, and window. Plus, save an extra 30% with coupon. Or check out doorbusters like $6.99 tees for all ages and Exertion activewear starting at $7.99. Stock up while they last and just in time for back to school. Must have style, gotta have savings. JCPenney. Offers valid on select styles. Exclusions apply. Doorbusters end 9/4 and excluded from coupon. Home offers end 9/10. See store or jcp.com for details.
Wake up, people. You are optimizing every waking hour of your life. From carpooling kids, to work, to friends, and everything in between. You have to get sleep. And a bed that can perform as well as you do. Meet the next generation Sleep Number Smart Bed. It effortlessly adjusts to your shape, position, and movements. Learning how you sleep, so you learn to sleep better. Night after night. Sleep next level. Only from Sleep Number.
Don't miss our Labor Day special. Save 50% on the Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed. Plus free delivery when you add a base. Ends Labor Day.
End your summer right with HP's best tech products at the lowest prices with up to 67% off from laptops and desktops to printers, monitors, and more, as well as free shipping store-wide. Whether you're going back to school or back to work, find amazing deals on HP Envy, Spectre, and Pavilion computers, as well as printers and monitors. You don't want to miss the amazing Labor Day savings at HP.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts Loaner Tool Program offers more than 80 specialty tools. Refundable deposit required. Stop by O'Reilly today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Regulation of the kind of message that you see, the kind of message you hear on radio, and all that you see online. And then there's also the point about, regulating the practitioners, those who sell the ads, those who sell the messaging, and how they go about the activities to ensure that there's fair competition, there are issues of exploitation and others that are checked. And we'll be pointing that to you shortly. So that's the second reason. There's also the point about, trying to get some standards in the industry and getting as much as possible to the stage where we'll license advertising companies. Because as of now, everything goes. Because they're bringing in the revenue to the various, ad agencies and the media houses, we're taking it for now because of the money. But there's a need for us to regulate. And that's why, of course, this Advertising Council Bill 2020 is also aimed at bringing about issues relating to licensing advertising companies. There's also the point about how we professionalize the space so that it becomes, just as you go in for legal services, you would have practitioners who are in the industry making sure that they go through, proper curricula, study the right type of content that will inform them to be conscious about the space in which they find themselves and what they're doing and selling to you as the consumer. So here's the point, and many concerns have been raised over the years about, first of all, the fact that media owners overlook issues of irregularities, the anomalies within the industry, simply because it's bringing the cash. The last check, as I indicated to you, over $200 million out for grab for anyone who's playing in the industry. So it's very easy that you find people throwing away the issues of standards. So it's no surprise that you find many media houses, well, at least here at Joy News, I can say that we try as much as possible to look at that angle as well. But it's a challenge still for the industry for us to try and find standards. So we're tackling this problem where there's, the free fall in the market, the issues about, regulatory agencies such as the Food and Drugs Authority also being limited in some scope, because beyond food and drugs, there's absolutely nothing they can do. So it's the reason for which this bill wants to deal with some of the challenges that I'm enumerating here. Now, this is very dear to me because very often, if you watch the messaging on TV, and for those of you who hear some messaging on radio as well, very often women and children are considered very vulnerable, and they are exploited to the extent that, we make either fun of them or we use them, to portray a certain message. And that aspect ought to be regulated. You go to, those who do the leak course, you know what the story is and how women are exploited. Children as well are used very often in the messaging. But there's a need for regulation in that aspect as well, and the big issue about disinformation and the spread of fake news. We know that in this era, the media has been criticized. The way we carry out our messaging could also mislead a client or a consumer. So these points out here, bring the issue about the need to regulate and to have a council, a framework in place that will deal with some of these teething challenges within the advertising space. So here's what you need to know, that the council, and through this bill, once it goes into force, will be seeking to tackle a number of issues and to provide a framework that everyone will be involved just to be a part of the solution. And part of the solution that this governing council, the Advertising Council Bill 2020, is trying to do is to ensure that we have reps from the ministries, information, communication, trade, because they deal with the business community. Then we also have, some distinguished fellows from the profession itself who've practiced and have seen and have supervised agencies working in the advertising agency space for a while, also being part of a council, the framework that I'm talking about, which we'll be going into details very shortly about, just to try and tackle the issues that I was pointing to you earlier. There's also the need to have on board even practitioners, those of us in the media space, at least someone there informing and guiding how we go about, our messaging here in the country. And it's the reason for which, of course, this bill is also proposing that there should be reps from advertising practitioners and also, some media persons nominated to be a part of the society that will then be forming this council. There's the point about one nominee coming through from private enterprise foundations, because certainly that the big spender here is the business. The business wants to derive some sort of mileage in terms of the kind of messaging they are putting out there. But they also need to know about the rules. They need to be informed and also channel their concerns about how the industry, specifically the media and broadcast space, or traditional media or the newspaper or online, would have to be receiving their messages as well. So all of these put together, and also having the registrar who's a board member with links to government in management, the belief is that a complete framework will be created for us to have this ideal governing body, which would then be, of course, feeding into that whole aim of the Advertising Council Bill 2020, which is seeking to tackle all of these challenges that we're dealing with. Now, ultimately, the aim of that framework, as I was pointing to you, is to ensure standards. And another means, and a very critical clause within this bill that will address part of the challenge we're seeing, is that there will be a drastic change. Now, advertisement will not be done, or advertisement will not be done as it used to be. You're going to be seeing a significant change. And Article 21 of that bill is making another proposition that now and going forward, we must and we will be seeing a situation where an advertisement, except being a public notice or a goodwill message, or in the event you have someone passing away, an obituary, obviously, all of these kinds of messaging and ads that we see on our television or wherever it is that within our space will now be subject to a very rigorous testing, just to ensure that they pass the standard test. And also we have some harmonization going on, FDA also coming on board to ensure that the messaging is apt. And it's all geared towards ensuring that now it will be mandatory for media houses to demand certificates of approval when it comes to advertising. That's the whole idea, just to solve the challenge that we're facing. And that's why we're about to go into this conversation to see how this bill that we're talking about here is addressing issues within our space. And that's why we're talking about regulating Ghana's art space. Is the Advertising Council Bill the way forward? That's the question we're answering. My guest will be helping me to answer that question as well. Stay with us here on PM Express.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see F-I-N-T-E-X. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
easy pa. Don't somebody know me.
Whiskey.
Wash. All of a sudden, my voice I hear different. And when you saw a call. Barman, bring me the honey whiskey. You know the one? Black Rock Whiskey.
Honey whiskey.
Chalet, honey near their frau. Black Rock Whiskey is strong. Now so taste me is smooth and it goes down easy. Excuse me.
Barman.
Barman, bring my friend one Black Rock Whiskey.
Black Rock Whiskey, blended with natural honey flavor.
Hey, what's up?
Barman.
Hey, what the hell for Sikanton Sata? The beer been to man, no. Oh.
Black Rock Whiskey can be the feeling smooth, national.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 years of age and not recommended for pregnant women. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
There are days when you think, whoa, today I've earned it. So order a Glovo. Days when plans run longer. What if we order a Glovo? Or days when you can't control everything. Oh yes, because on Glovo, you can order anything you want. Glovo, you order, we deliver.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see S-I-N-T-E-X. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint. As compared to other paint brands on the market, we take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
My name is Tina. I am a person living with HIV. I got to know my HIV status after I gave birth and lost the child because of HIV. In those days, prevention of mother-to-child transmission services had low patronage due to fear and stigmatization. Today, many HIV-positive women have delivered negative children. I follow the guidelines and take my HIV medicine called ARVs every day, as prescribed by my doctor. This makes me strong and healthy, and also prevent me from passing HIV on to any future child. Please, avail yourself of PMTCT services when pregnant. It is the only way to ensure you do not pass the HIV onto your baby during birth or pregnancy. If you have tested for HIV recently and it was negative, test again when pregnant. If you have tested positive, go to the hospital after birth as directed by your healthcare provider. Your baby will be given medicine immediately and tested to ensure baby and mother are well. Let us work together to have an HIV-free generation.
Our children must be free to shine.
thanks for staying with us here on PM Express on the Joy News channel. Let me tell you about my guest helping us to do the discussion. I have Andrew Aka, who is the CEO for Dentsu Ghana and president of the Advertising Association of Ghana. Guy Parker is the chief executive officer for the Advertising Standards Authority. And we have joining us as well via Zoom, Dr. Lekan Fadulap, who is the Director General of the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here on PM Express.
Thank you, Blazer.
And for those of you who do not really understand why this conversation is important, just listen to this, okay? And you get the message afterwards. I told you about Cherry Tree Properties, okay? Because they are developing spaces as though they were going to leave or occupy those spaces themselves. And Syntex Tank is indicating to you that they are strong, they're tough, and you need to go in for their product as well. And Lomo Beaters is on board tonight. They are experiencing greatness in every moment, and they would want you to be a part of it. And the Ghana AIDS Commission is also helping in this journey. So no matter your water needs, Syntex Tank has it all for you. Syntex Tank is the first to actually introduce the double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. The tank is also the first to introduce the white inner layer tanks here in Ghana. So they're introducing you to the customer specs order, which lets you to order any color or size at all of your preference. So just going for Syntex Tank, they are giving you the longest warranty of about 7 years, which no other tank is giving you right here in Ghana. So whatever your need, whatever your consumption size, project or demand, just choose Syntex Tank, and they have agents nationwide. So call them on 0244 335 168 or shop online at syntexgh.com. Syntex Tank, a strong, a tough. I was talking about Cherry Tree Properties earlier. The desires, as we know, are wishes, and beauty is a promise of happiness. But passion is everything that you can think of. Thinking about buying a new home, just talk to those who build that with passion. With a Sloan Square, a new gated community developed at Sakumono, you can just be a part of the Cherry Tree story. They are giving you a one-of-a-kind, well-planned luxury environment that you've never experienced. So call them 0553 662 366, and Cherry Tree Properties is telling you that sophistication and class is indeed their hallmark. So with just what I've done, of course, ordinarily if we're having the Advertising Council bill, that would have gone through probably this gentleman or a group of people who would have been serving on the council, right? So let's start off with you, Andrews. The messaging that I've just put out, right?
Yeah.
It needs to be checked. But over the years, and what we've experienced is that we let it go because the money is coming through. We all want cash. So sometimes we bend the rules, bend the standards, and now it's biting back.
Yes. I mean, majority of advertisers actually follow through the right standards and regulations. That shouldn't be a problem. But the critical bit that we are discussing today is the fact that you have a lot of people who don't understand these standards. Mm-hmm. They don't understand the principle that guides what to market, what content to put out there, how to put it out there. So it becomes problematic because, you know, the state has a responsibility of protecting consumers and protecting the state. Mm-hmm. And information is very critical. So knowing what to say, how to say, when to say, and who to say it is very, very important. And that is why we are calling for these standards to ensure that if you want to put a message out there to advertise your product or your service, it has actually gone through the right checks.
The problem about where it's starting from, is it from the consumer end or, you know, the supply end where, okay, some would say it's the consumers who are calling for it, so we give it to them as they want, even if we have to bend the rules.
I don't believe in that assertion, but you could look at it whether it's a consumer or whether it is coming from the advertiser side or whether it's coming from the state. Mm-hmm. There are interested stakeholders who want to earn their keep, whichever way you want to look at it. The advertiser wants to put their product out there to make sure that you buy them so they can make money, right? Yeah. The consumer also wants to hear that advert, that information, so they can make a choice between product A or product B or brand A or brand B with the right information so they can make that choice, right? You need to have it regulated to ensure that there's a fair deal, that the consumer is getting the right information, the product has the right, right ingredients and right claims, so that the consumer can now make a good choice. So you need someone it could be a regulator, or it could actually be a system where there's fair play and both consumers and advertisers actually can cohabit in that ecosystem and make sure that there's exchange of value.
I see. And Parker, very often when the conversation comes up, regulation, then the private sector, gets to push back because they see regulation as restriction, and of course they feel it may, limit them in terms of the scope of messaging and what they should be putting out there about their brands. How crucial is this conversation of standards towards, the advertising industry helping, or will it help to sanitize this space as we have it?
I think it's absolutely crucial. I think it's actually enlightened self-interest for the ad industry to invest time and resources and its attention in making sure that the rules that apply to advertising are right, that they protect people, particularly vulnerable people, and that they are followed. And I think that certainly in lots of cases around the world, when you have an effective ad regulatory system, it very often involves law, particularly underpinning law that the government has set. But the secret sauce of the system is actually the buy-in and the support, and sometimes some funding from the industry that knows that if the standards of advertising are higher, then apart from anything else, not only will people be better protected, but every dollar that they spend on advertising will work better because people will be more likely to trust the messages that they're seeing and hearing in the ads.
And we'll be talking very shortly about consumer protection and advertising. But the point also about how to achieve this is the law or regulation the way to go, when many say that we should be leaving this to the market to decide, to self-regulate. Is that also not a viable option for us?
I think it depends on the circumstances in the country, and I would certainly not come over to Ghana. It's my first time in Ghana. I'm very excited to be here, but I wouldn't come over here and tell the industry and civil society and the government in Ghana how they should be doing things. I can tell you what's worked elsewhere, and there is almost always some underpinning law. There is some consumer protection law that applies to advertising, but we all know that there are laws that are around that aren't followed because they're not applied, because statutory bodies have got other responsibilities and duties. So what really, really matters is to make sure that the private sector, the ad industry, as far as possible, we find in the examples that we see work, it's best if there are advertisers involved, big brands, but also smaller businesses, if the advertising agencies are involved, of course, but also the media owners. Everyone's got to have a stake in it. Everyone's got to have an investment in this. And if you can get it to work, then there are real benefits because people are more likely to trust the advertising. Your advertising dollar goes further when you spend it if you're a brand. But also there's a more level playing field. So you're less likely to be in a situation where you're wondering, okay, if I refuse this ad, if I'm a TV station and I refuse this ad, is someone else going to take it and take the money? If you're a brand, if I don't make these rather exaggerated claims, is my competitor going to make those claims and they're going to steal a march on me? So for all of those reasons, I think it's really, really important that the ad industry invests in trying to improve standards.
And I'm also interested in peer review and what's happening elsewhere. And that's why I'm happy that Dr. Lika is also joining the conversation here on PM Express. I see that already in Nigeria. You have a council in existence. How do you go about this mandate of regulation?
Good evening. Let me just say thank you for the invitation. For us in Nigeria, it's a completely different ball game. What Ghana is trying to do now, we've done like 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We are in the second phase of the regulatory framework.
Wow.
In Nigeria, advertising practice is a profession, like any other profession. Like medicine, like law, so advertising is a profession. The second thing you need to understand is that advertising industry is also a regulated industry, meaning that you cannot just wake up and say you are practicing or doing the business of advertising. Let me say this. In regulatory framework for the advertising industry, we have 3 types of regulatory framework in different markets. We have the self-regulation, where associations come together and regulate the industry. We have statutory regulation, where government council regulate the practice and business of advertising. But in some markets, we have dual regulatory framework, like we have in Nigeria. We have the self-regulatory organization and we have the government regulatory organization. Advertising is very, very strategic to economic development. So you cannot leave advertising in the hand of self-regulatory agency alone. Government interest in advertising is beyond revenue. First of all, if the industry is well regulated, it has a multiplier effect on the entire economy. If it is well regulated, it will create job opportunity. Don't forget that in that industry, we call it a tripod. We have the client, we have the agency, and we have the media. Now, for all media organizations, except those ones that have income from other sources, majority of their income is from advertising. In some cases, it's as high as 90%. Now, if that is the case, you cannot just leave that on auto run. And in our own part of the world, self-regulation has not really helped. So what do we need to do? We need to establish a framework statutorily that will ensure that that advertising space is well regulated.
Okay.
Everything that you have read are things that we are doing in Nigeria.
And what's striking also, and what's striking also is that you're indicating to us that you've been doing this for the past 20 years. So how come we've missed this all this while here in Ghana?
That is a huge, that's a big question that we are trying to cure now. We haven't done that. When AAG was set up about 2 decades ago, it was supposed. It still is a self-regulatory association, but as it were, you have to handle issues.
Have you always pushed for it?
No. Okay, so we started thinking about this around 2010, and we actually got consultants to come. We took the Nigerian model, and then we put this framework together. It's actually a thorough, thought through bill. And because we knew that we had to get to a point where we should be regulating our industry. Now we've been having teething issues with outdoor suppliers, with yourselves, with media owners who don't follow through that. But it's very difficult with a growing economy like Ghana. It's very difficult to find the solution to self-regulate and make it effective. And that is why we are calling for this.
You're sounding as though it's impossible to get that.
It is very difficult. I mean, we're growing. I mean, you look at this is a potential $500 million industry. It's very difficult. Even with regulation we're discussing it, it's very difficult to get it to tick all the boxes and make sure you're 100% on track. So you need that regulation. If you go through it, how to set up the council and the various committees, the stakeholders that are involved in the council. This is supposed to help to cure, part of the problem. I'm pretty certain, not on your network, but on other networks, you see certain claims, and you get worried. Why are they claiming this? You see certain adverts about drinks and all of them. Like who authorized this, right? So we need to do that. Now we have state functions that are helping us to do it, like Food and Drugs Authority, but he said that they are not professional marketers. They know how to have conversations on what you need to claim on with food and drugs. But there are a lot of other products and services that are being sold in Ghana, and we do not have those standards to to help them to put out the right message, but also to make sure that the content you're putting out there, is fit for purpose for consumers.
There's a challenge emerging now, and Paka, I want you to address that. I'll come to you shortly about, moving off mainstream media and how potentially some of these businesses could just move on to social media and get their messaging on, regardless of the regulation and the regime that you may put in place. But Dr. Lekan, I'm interested in also hearing the story about the challenges when you started in Nigeria, because we're adopting the Nigerian model, as you're pointing out.
It's a hybrid.
When you started, what were some of the challenges that you were experiencing when you took off with the first phase? Now you're moving into the second phase.
One of the major challenges were the pushback. The pushback because, for every reform, you have people saying no. For example, take the business leg for it. We introduced some reforms in the industry. Now, we said we have 3 points: the client, the agency, and the media. Now, let me give you just few. First of all, we have what we call disengagement protocol in Nigeria now. Disengagement protocol means that if you want to fire your agency, you are free to fire your agency. But when you are firing your agency, make sure you reconcile the debt and make sure you put a closure to that contract. Now, there's resistance. Like, I should be able to fire my agency. I can pay when I feel like paying. No, it's not like that. Globally, there's a threshold for payment. In most of the European countries, it's 30 days. In most of the African countries, the best you can get anywhere is like 45 days. Now, we are saying in Nigeria, the credit threshold is 45. Whereas you know that there are some people that want to enjoy that to 120, to 90 days. Imagine as a media owner, somebody buy media from you and is telling you to come back 120 days to pick your money. That means that 4 months after delivery. Imagine a situation whereby you also invoice the person 3 months after every work done. So you can imagine what a mess that will cause for you. Now, the media may not be able to face this whole situation. The agency may also not be able to face it. So the first major challenge you will receive is that there will be pushback, because what you are promoting is equity across board. Now, in terms of information that is released out, you will stop so many things. Like the president of the AAG said, in Nigeria, we don't allow disparaging advertising. It is product-based. If you want to talk about your product, talk about your products. And that is why we have pre-exposure vetting, which is what Ghana is also pushing for now. We are a culturally sensitive country. So we don't allow women to be used as sex objects. There are some adverts that must not use children. And so there are all these rules and regulations. But the people that have been used to that impunity, the first thing you will expect is they will come all out for this bill. But trust me, in the long run, the dust will settle and the industry will be better for it.
Andrews, have you done, a number of engagements, putting that feedback into the framework ahead of takeoff?
Yes, we have. So the first time that this bill went through cabinet and went to the floor of Parliament was in 2016. Unfortunately, that particular Parliament rose, and then there was an election in December.
So you have to start the cycle.
So we had to start the cycle again, and lobbying and having conversation to restate it has been tough. But quite recently, we had the Minister of Information, Kojo Ponkrumah, and the Minister of Trade, Honorable K.T. Hammond, actually receiving AAG into their office, and they looked at the bill. It was quite detailed. So there are a couple of activities that would happen, stakeholder engagements, so that we can review this. The Attorney General has actually assented on it. So it's a complete bill now. We're just waiting for those stakeholder engagements to go through.
I'm asking the question because of how well, probably you've understood the Nigerian situation, the challenges that Doc is talking about, and whether or not you're incorporating that.
It's brilliant. I mean, it's one of the most comprehensive bills that that experts say, after going through it. So there's not a problem with that. Now, again, when it goes to the floor of Parliament and is open for discussion, we can talk about some of the, because, this is about 5, 6, 7 years ago, we can actually talk about some clauses that we want to introduce or clauses we want to take it out. But at this point, it's fit for purpose. And what we are advocating for is that it goes through cabinet. This is something that Ghana needs, right? It's not just for the industry. We will be protected. The advertiser will be protected. But like I said, this is a potential $500 million industry. And bringing regulation in would help us to realize that, and
And I mean, to be fair, if you don't have anything and you have this coming on board, it's a good start. By the way, but Doc was talking about, and Parker, let me bring your attention to that: the client, the agency, and then the business organization. Some of these business organizations are, much more tilted towards using online platforms, the social media messaging platforms and all of that to do advertisement. How can standards check that as well? Because the potential damage is they take away their cash, they move online, and you have absolutely no control over them. Have you thought of that angle as well?
Yeah, it's a huge part of what we do in the UK at the Advertising Standards Authority. It's a big part of our discussions. I'm president of the International Council for Ad Self-Regulation, ICAS, and it's a big part of our discussions around that table. In the UK, 75% of ad spend is spent online. 75%. Okay. 3/4. So your system has got to be able to track that, and that means using technology. The volume and scale of ads online is huge. You can't pre-approve them. There are too many of them. You can't. You'd have to have a huge bureaucracy, and there would still be massive backlogs. Right. And if you want advertising to work for your economy, as I'm sure Ghana does, you want small businesses to be able to advertise quickly, not be stuck in a queue and waiting weeks for approval. So you have to use other techniques. In the UK, we use artificial intelligence. So we process about 200,000 online ads a month, and we run them through our AI models that we built that predict the likelihood that they contain problematic claims, and we then provide all the sort of top hits from that prediction on a user interface for our compliance experts to run through them and take action against problematic ads that have appeared.
So the challenge I see here also for a developing nation such as Ghana is the issue about infrastructure. How then do we bridge the gap? Because the UK economy is far more bigger. You have the infrastructure, you have the technology. How do you come then in to support the association, for instance, to build a more robust regulatory regime?
I think you've got to do what Andrew's been doing and his colleagues. You've got to try and bring the industry together. You've got to try and get the fundamentals in place. You've got to try and make sure you've got a code that has got buy-in from the industry and that protects people, of course. And then the hard work starts of educating practitioners on the code, keeping an eye on the advertising that's appearing, taking down the bad stuff that's slipped through, making sure you got the right sanctions in place, which will always involve things like media refusing to air ads by companies that are refusing to play by the rules that everyone else is playing by.
I see, and that will mean that, Andrew, you have another leg of the work to do: the issue about getting the buy-in from the private sector. How's that journey been so far?
I think they've been, clients have been pretty supportive of this bill. And when we're putting it together, we actually had the stakeholder engagement. They're actually calling for this because you see a lot of unfair, trade practices by brands that don't follow the script and make all claims, that affect those who are, technically, building businesses and paying taxes and employing Ghanaians and all of that. So they invested in this bill, and I don't think that would have issues with them. There may be fine areas that we need to check, like the relationship between the agency and the client. We already have great relationship. Whatever it is, we can fine-tune it. So we don't have issues in the private sector and the client sector in terms of actually wanting this bill to come through. What we need to know is that anytime there's a regulation, it allows for growth, right? Once you regulate and you bring standard, everyone knows how to come into the industry, and they know how to play by the games. And then you can also grow new talent who would come with innovation and try and create new things, and make sure that the entire industry, actually grows.
I see. There's the question about breaking bureaucracy, because already we know that the Food and Drugs Authority is one of the agencies mandated by the state to check when it comes to advertisement issues relating to food and drugs. But beyond that, now that we have this bill in place, how are we going to merge that, and what problems will we be checking in that regard? You're watching PM Express. When we get back, we'll also get to learn more from the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Stay with us.
Can he tee up someone in red? And it goes to wall!
What 5 Champions League? You want to know? I be the real goat. I'm the real goat. The left magician. Who is the goat? Ghana Jollof or Nigeria Jollof?
Ghana Jollof has no co-equal. The smell alone. Oh my God.
That shift. You two they lie. Now the same stew where they use cook the rice and then they go put them for top.
Hey! You are lying. Ghana Jollof.
I knew this year. Forget everybody. Yeah, my guy. Put your back on the jar. Put some respect on the goat. On the goat. The only goat I know lives in Tama. Every year we dey give to you back. We are talking about PET. I want some Yajia face. Except be the goat, huh? My guy, he be the goat.
Though our choice of goats may differ in football, music, and jollof, Alomo Bitters always brings us together. Alomo, experience greatness in every moment.
Drink responsibly. Not for sale to persons under 18 and recommended to pregnant women. This advert is FDA.
Hello, my name is Abeku Agri Santana. If there's anything that makes my life so easy, it is my bank. I love hanging out with my boys at our usual fufu joint. But even without cash, we still dey chop better with EcoBank Mobile. No matter the time of day, my bank helps me stay in touch with my beautiful wife whenever she's away. And when my beautiful wife is in town, she never misses out on her favorite TV shows because I'm able to pay up all my TV subscriptions from the comfort of my mobile phone. Whenever she has to get groceries too, my bank makes it cashless and convenient. And the part my wife loves the most is when my bank makes it possible and easy for her to shop from any part of the world without moving.
Welcome to the smart world of EcoBank. Download EcoBank Mobile from Google Play Store or the App Store and discover the smart way to bank. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Artificial intelligence, creativity, and sustainability. Join this year's Africa Rising 6, brought to you by the International Advertising Association IAA at the Kempinski Hotel, Gold Coast City, as we uncover the power of building future-ready brands on 5th and 6th September. Speakers Sasan Saidi, World Chairman and President, International Advertising Association, Andrew Techiapia, Co-Founder and MD, ZPay, Letepu Machaba, Independent Business Leader, former Vice President of Home Care, Unilever, Ivan Moroki, CEO, Kanta South Africa, Guy Parker, Chief Executive, Advertising Standards Authority, United Kingdom, Steve Papaiko, CEO, Extreme Ideas, Sami Awuku, Director General, National Lottery Authority, and many more. This conference is sponsored by Margins Group, ZPay, Google, MTN, GOIL, and NLA, Media Partners, CNN, Media General, the Multimedia Group, Graphic Communication Group, City TV, and City 97.3 FM. Register now at www.africarising.iaaglobal.org for more information or contact Nanajwa on 0242 528 431 or the AAG Secretariat 0244 440477.
And thanks for staying with us here on PM Express. You've been watching several commercial messages come your way on this channel upon our return to the show. And it's the reason for which we're having this discussion, trying to look at how we can regulate Ghana's advertising space and finding out if the Advertising Council Bill 2020 is the way to go. Andrew Aka is the CEO of Denso Ghana and President of the Advertising Association of Ghana. We also have, joining us from the UK, Guy Parker, who's the Chief Executive for the Advertising Standards Authority. In Nigeria, we have Dr. Lekan Fedulap, who is the Director General of the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, also joining the conversation. I was just pointing to the issue about, dealing with bureaucracy. And just before I come back in studio to Andrew to tackle that, Doc, how did you go about that in Nigeria? The issue about having, a number of agencies claiming, locus over the fact that they are the ones to regulate the messages that we see on TV, radio, and other platforms. How did you go about that in Nigeria?
What we did was that we have what we call the Advertising Standard Panel. The Advertising Standard Panel has membership of different and relevant stakeholders. For example, we have a representative of the CBN there. We have a representative of the Nigerian Food and Drug Control, NAFDAC. We have a representative of the Women's Society. We have a representative of Security and Exchange Commission. We have a representative of all the sectoral groups, the Association of Advertising Agencies of Nigeria, Advertisers Association of Nigeria, Outdoor Agencies of Nigeria, Experiential Marketers Association of Nigeria. So these people come together representing the entire sector with relevant remits over advertising. National Broadcasting Commission is there. Nigerian Press Council is there. So they sit down and look at it from their own perspective as well as the general interest of the industry. So when they look at it and say this is good to go, then it will go. So we have a body whose primary responsibility is to ensure that the advertisement resonates with everything that it needs to resonate with.
And briefly, let's talk about phase 2 of the exercise that you're about carrying out. What would that entail?
Didn't get that, please.
I was talking about phase 2. You were pointing out that you are in the second phase of implementation.
So we are doing an industry reform now. We are embarking on industry reform. And this is basically to relook at the industry and to look at the areas that we can improve. Don't forget again that like I said earlier, advertising is critical to the success of any industry, any economy. Advertising is the driver of the economy. So it is not an economic activity that you can live on auto run. So because of that, advertising creates jobs. Apart from that, advertising determines how far some of the SMEs will go. So because of that, what we are doing now is we are embarking on an industry reform that will ensure that Nigerians as citizens and the Nigerian economy takes maximum benefit of that activities. So we are putting structure and framework in place to promote advertising and ensure that we also take benefit of advertising.
Yeah, and it's a very long way to go for Ghana. But Andrew, let's see what that will hold for us in terms of the future. But talking about the unique case of having the FDA, by our laws, having some level of remit over how they control ads when it comes to food and beverages.
Yes.
With the onboarding of the council, how would that be handled?
So currently you have a member of the AG sitting on the air committee, but again, you know that their expertise is in food and drug, it's science, right?
Yes, science, yes.
But they are not technically marketers. They are principals for marketing. They are principal for putting a copy and advert together that they may not have the expertise in. So what we are if you look at the bill, the FDA is actually sitting on those boards. So
will it be on top? Are you measuring it?
So we'll find a way to deal with this. Okay. And now, even though we don't have a regulation, you have bits and you have laws in different places. So in FDA, I'm sure if you go to National Road Safety Commission, they have their laws of billboards, advertising, and structures. I'm sure when you go to any district assembly or MC, they will have certain laws. What we are creating to do is that we want to harmonize all of this so that you put a proper regulatory body together that will be able to facilitate the business of advertising. Because as we said over and over and over again, it's a very important aspect of the economy, but we're overlooking it. Yeah. And because, governments or state have not paid that much attention to our industry, that is why we are saying that it's actually beneficial to the government than anyone else, right? So that it becomes your representative when it comes to discussing issues on advertising. So the government should be actually running with us, and we are happy.
Celebrate summer's greatest hits at JCPenney's Labor Day sale. Bring home feel-good deals like up to 50% off bedding, bath, and window. Plus, save an extra 30% with coupon. Or check out doorbusters like $6.99 tees for all ages and Exertion activewear starting at $7.99. Stock up while they last and just in time for back to school. Must have style, gotta have savings. JCPenney. Offers valid on select styles. Exclusions apply. Doorbusters N94 and excluded from coupon. Home offers N910. See store or jcp.com for details.
Is the Peloton bike even worth it? Isn't it just a bike?
Just a bike with low-impact rides for chill people to chill with 5 and 10-minute cooldowns for cool people to be cool with, and scenic rides for vibey people to vibe with. It's just a bike with a 30-day home trial so you can see if you're any one of those people. Try a Peloton Bike or Bike Plus at home for 30 days, and if it's not for you, return it for a full refund. First-time Bike and Bike Plus purchasers only. One trial per household. Upfront payment required. Full terms at onepeloton.com/home-trial.
That they're interested this time around and they're actually helping to push this bill through.
I see, and I'm excited that tomorrow I guess at the Kempinski Hotel that will provide a platform for all of these matters to be addressed, and also we'll have private sector join you and those of you who are playing in the industry to address some of these challenges. What are you looking forward to, Parker, as you engage the industry? And also we have lots of stakeholders coming around to discuss some of these common challenges.
I'm looking forward to hearing all the issues that matter in Ghana. I think it's going to be an amazing conference, Africa Rising 6. And as I said, I've not been to Ghana before. I've not been to West Africa before. So hearing from experts, expert practitioners like Andrew, what the big issues are is going to be really interesting. I'm going to be talking about effective advertising self-regulation around the world, and explaining why these systems that are all a bit different in different countries work. I'm really looking forward to it.
Indeed, and you'll be hearing our challenge and also what we have to offer here in Ghana. I'm sure you had some fufu already. Maybe you should try that afterwards. But Andrew, sir, any final messages?
I would say that we encourage those who haven't thought about coming to the conference to please come and register tomorrow on it. It's a fantastic platform of amazing speakers and experts across the continent, and also from Europe and the Americas, to come and share thoughts on what the future of advertising is. I mean, the theme this year is quite interesting. Okay. Future-ready brands. How do we build them? Yeah. If you look at African population, how we're growing, we need to ensure that we're growing with our population. That the new authentic African brands that are being built, entrepreneurship is being encouraged. The government is actually at the center of helping businesses to grow, because it's out of growing businesses that you can have authentic African products that you can build. So there's going to be almost like a melting pot of fantastic, amazing experts sharing their thoughts and ideas on how to grow this continent.
And indeed, your favorite channel, Joy News, will be there to support. So if you're a business owner out there, or you want to be a part of it, just make your way to the Kempinski Gold Coast Hotel. It's happening tomorrow at 9.
Yes, it's a 2-day conference.
Event. Yeah, so you need to be there. Doc, any message from Nigeria to us here in Ghana?
Thank you very much. I look forward to tomorrow. We are going to have a session where we will be having an interactive session. We'll be looking at the self-regulation mechanism, the government regulation mechanism, and how we can get the best from these two. I will request that we have the advertising community join us at tomorrow's event.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Grateful as well for spending some time with us, Dr. Lekan. Thank you to Andrews and Guy Park also, and Akwaba. That's our way of welcome here to Ghana. And of course, that's all we have for you in this package of PM Express. I'm blessed to log on to myjoyonline.com. We have lots of stories there for you. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.